We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams.
Hey everyone, welcome to Meanwhile Back at the Lab with Paximus. I hope you're having a wonderful day, whether it's the morning, afternoon, or possibly, yes, the evening. I'm so glad you guys are here with us. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to hang out with us for a little bit. We're going to have a conversation here in just a moment with our special guest, Padmini. And guys, it's kind of crazy. I actually feel like I've been gone for a while. It's only been a week, but I feel like I've been gone for quite some time, and it's just really nice to kind of just get back in the mode of live streaming. To be honest, I haven't done it for a while. But speaking of live streaming, we have a special guest named Padmini who we're going to connect with in just a moment. And I just want to say a couple things. First off, thank you so much for liking and subscribing. Thank you for doing that. And hopefully, we'll have some more conversations in the future. I know for the month of September, for every Wednesday in the month of September, we have more conversations with other study streamers. Next week might be a little bit of a change in the day, but we'll see how that plays out. And if you haven't done so already, you can go ahead and check on my channel page to see all those details. And you can even go on my website at paximusenterprises.com. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for being here. Amakalicious, who's another Study With Me streamer, thank you so much for being here. And Padmini, of course, thank you for being here. Viraj is here. Thank you so much, Viraj, for being here. And let's see. Abhay, welcome. Queen's Corner TV, it's good to see you. Queen's Corner is another Study With Me streamer, guys. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and check out Queen's Corner TV and Immaculicious. They're both wonderful people. And please definitely subscribe to them and like their videos and their content. They have amazing things on their channel. So, anyways, we're going to go ahead and get started. And I want to thank you guys so much for being here. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and have our conversation here with Padmini. And Padmini, how are you? It's good to see you.
Yes, I'm definitely great, and it's such an honor to be here. And I'm so glad to see you and everyone in the chat. I feel great today, just feeling happy, and I'm feeling really grateful as well.
Awesome. Well, like I said, thank you for taking some time out of your day. And I know we were having a little bit of a technical issue, but we're good now. Everything seems fine. And for those of you who are watching right now, if you have a question for Padmini, please go ahead and just put it in all caps question and then put in your question. You could put it in at any time throughout this conversation. We're not going to do a Q&A at the end. We're just going to kind of take your questions as we go. However, if there's no questions, I do have a line of questions that you guys should know by now. I have plenty of questions, and it's usually out of curiosity, right? And speaking of, I'm kind of curious, Padmini, because the way that we actually connected first was that you came to my Study With Me stream, and this was a long time ago. This was like back in the last year. At least I think it was last year. And so, could you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do and how you got involved in the Study With Me community? Like, who was the first Study With Me streamer that you connected with, basically? And just tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, so hey everybody, my name is Padmini, and it's pronounced Padmini, but it doesn't really matter. I'm currently living in the United Arab Emirates in Dubai, and I'm based from India. And I currently am a high school student, and I'm studying most subjects, but I have my particular interest in computer sciences, and I'm aiming towards helping other people in nonprofit as well as taking forward with giving more gratitude to the world. And I always live by that motto. And something to talk about for the Study With Me community. So I was really like lazy and unmotivated student. It's sort of a backstory. Um, but when I was in the 10th grade, I guess I really didn't pay attention to what I was doing. But when I came into my recent years of high school, I thought that I really wanted to make a change for myself. So some YouTube randomly recommended a Study With Me like live stream, and I
Mm-hmm.
clicked on it, and it's so interesting. And the person I actually watched out, his name was Abudi TV, and
Oh,
he's a
right.
really nice person,
Yeah.
but he has taken a break for a while. I think for his last stream was a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, after that, we did sort of like have a good connection on Discord and his server, and
Mm-hmm.
that got me more into studies. But I did leave that server eventually, just speaking out to truths, because it did get a bit distracting as a lot of people were on it, like more than 1,000 to 2,000 members, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone was chatting, and it sort of got me distracted. So I decided, let me try doing a test stream, and that really didn't go as well. Like there was no one watching it. So what I did was sending out to all my groups of friends and communities, sort of a way to promote myself.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, it did start to sort of grow to more than 100 subscribers. And I did take a break for a while, from like especially streaming, due
Mm-hmm.
to like my classes again starting on September 1st. I decided that I needed some time off just to hang out with family, because I used to sort of be on my monitor all day.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it
Yeah.
would be a good way to sort of, leave off YouTube. But I did not temporarily, it's not like a permanent like leave, it's just for temporary.
Yeah.
And I did
Yeah.
shoot my last video on some few study techniques that I used overall.
That's awesome. So the way that it started was with a bood. Is that correct?
A booty, yeah, a
A,
booty.
a booty. Okay, and
Yeah.
which I do remember seeing him at some point last year, and then he stopped. I think live streaming for a little bit, and I think that's the interesting thing is that for most people, definitely it's the summer months, and during the summer months, there's not a lot of things that are happening unless you're in like summer school or you're prepping for school in the fall. Things are looking different, I think, moving forward because of how education looks right now and kind of the setting of the world. But I find it kind of interesting when there's still like a good study with me community. There's still a lot of people who are involved in studying and wanting to study. So, tell us a little bit about your drive for computer science, if you don't mind. I'd love to kind of hear a little bit more of where you wanted to take that. And you also did specify that you wanted to be able to help more people. And I find that very interesting because you said that you took time off from live streaming in order to be with family, which I think is important because you know there's a reset button that kind of has to happen sometimes. We're not robots, so it I think that was a necessary step for you and for anybody who has to take time off. But tell us a little bit about like the drive into computer science, or what is it that kind of appeals to you and how you want to use that.
Yeah, sure. So ever since I was a kid, I was never fond of computers. I didn't really like it. Like being on a screen all day with a flashing blue light just shining on your face. It didn't seem that pleasant to me.
Hmm.
Uh, and what I decided to do was like I thought to enroll into like my computer sciences course in school. And
Hmm.
when I did that, it was so interesting. It's not just like you're on computer all day. You have to learn about the mathematics, the physics, and every history about computer ever. Like people just think that you're learning math and physics, but there's just so much theory behind it,
Hmm.
especially for people like me who like to code a lot and did a coding internship as well. There's just so much to deal with. Like you have Stack Overflow and like those problems that come in your way while coding. They do get annoying, and I never knew that was the true side of computer science. Now, how I want to take it forward is that I really want to go and push through a field in college that goes more related to computer
Hmm.
or art, because I'll tell you why I like to help people. It goes more to the arts and medicine field, but
Hmm.
before that, I was thinking of going to computer science engineering, but it seriously didn't seem that pleasant. Like there's a streamer called James Schultz,
Hmm.
and he's also a computer science engineer, and he
Right.
has a great work ethic. And one thing that I found interesting about him is that I thought we had to also study like 12 to 15 hours every day just for computer science. And that's completely wrong. You should never form opinions without going into the actual field, right? So then I realized, let's rethink my options and let's do something else. Now I'll come back to computer science and I'll tell you how I went forward with that. But now let me move on to how I wanted to help people. But in help people, I really didn't mean like in study related terms, like
Hmm.
being a study buddy
Yeah.
or a study partner,
Right.
but rather is I do work for a nonprofit. Like I'm running it. It's like sort of nonprofit, and
Hmm.
in that we basically chat out things related to medicine and different medicine courses like the IMAT, the MCAT, the USMLE exam. I'm just prepping for that. I provide free questions, online video lectures, and everything related to that. And it's
Hmm.
helped more than I guess more than a thousands of people. But I'm not running it alone. I have multiple partners and
Hmm.
volunteers, and what we do is we sort of help them with a lot of terms related to medicine. But we thought to like take it forward, and I decided to do related to arts, history, and philosophy. Like free tutorings online. I just like to give like quick lessons and summaries and some quick notes for everybody just so they understand the concept. And
Yeah.
I do it all free because I believe that education really doesn't have a cost or a pricing behind it. although we do pay for schools and stuff, we still need to understand that helping people is something that we can choose. Like we can't choose to be rich or poor, but we can definitely choose to be kind and helpful, is which is like the only quote that I live by currently. And I feel like it's amazing to give out to the world, and having people help us is really nice. Now, moving back to computer science, why I chose not to fully go into computer science engineering was
Mm-hmm.
when I found out that I'm so intrigued with philosophy and medicine. It really helped to me to sort of think out these courses. I
Mm-hmm.
never wanted to go into the business and commerce field, but rather I felt going into either medicine and computer science or either arts is something which is more exciting. They
Mm-hmm.
say that like science or arts students don't have as much as scope in the future, but I believe that you can do anything with a willing. So that's what made me go into computer science. Now, if I do take art, that doesn't mean I'll completely quit up computer science. I can still pursue it, do my coding internships, and etc. etc. Like
Mm-hmm.
learn more about computers theory and do tutoring on coding. But if I take computer, that doesn't mean I'll leave art. It's vice versa. If I
Mm-hmm.
do leave any one of these things, I feel like my knowledge will not be as developed and efficient as before. Like before, I never used to understand anything about really a lot of knowledge concepts. But now, the more and more I learn, the more and more I'm understanding, which is really important for me to analyze world data and understand how everything works. And of course, there's always something that you need to choose a choice. Otherwise, you're simply gonna be so frazzled with options. So I'm still deciding, but I feel I'm more lenient towards computer science still. It's not just that I'm gonna leave arts or I'm not gonna leave computer fully, but I'm still more lenient towards computer science, and that's
Mm-hmm.
my basically all my drive. I do spend at least 1 to 2 hours a day dedicated to coding theory or computer theory, and I spend the other 1 to 2 hours of my study time for philosophy, like taking notes on some books and quotes and understanding and going in depth, and then forming questions to help other people.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious to know exactly where is it with the study with me concept, right? For you specifically, how what was your approach to study methods? Because everybody has a different way of studying, everybody has a different way of learning. So and we're gonna get to your question, Abhay, in just a moment. I just saw it right now, so thank you so much for your question. We will definitely get to it right here, right now. Just real quick, I'm going to ask this question, but with the study with me community and you kind of finding your way into it, developing your own channel and kind of learning different concepts of how to approach study methods, like what is your approach right now to studying, and do you find it effective or are you looking for other ways to study?
All right, so what I used to do, let me just start off with that so that most people don't repeat the same mistakes that I used to do. But it really depends on a person's mindset, and if it just really depends on how you study. If you're
Mm-hmm.
focused, it's really good. But again, I'm saying it's always quality over quantity. I mean, if you study 12 hours or 14 hours or 15 hours a day, it doesn't mean that you spend all those 12 to 15 hours focused, right? Like I used to do the mistake. I was burnt out so much because I used to study 18 hours a whole day. And imagining that, I never used to focus. I did it for just 1 month, and I
Mm-hmm.
noticed a drastic change in my life. I didn't focus properly after that 1 month. I
Yeah.
severely burnt out, and I couldn't get back on with assignments, essays, and book reports or projects, and I couldn't connect with family at all. So I
Mm-hmm.
felt like there's something that I needed to identify. So I went to the root of the issue, and I did reduce my study time nowadays. But let me go on to my approach right now. when I study stream, I stream from barely 2 to 4 hours because
Mhm.
I'm not super comfortable with everyone watching me study for my normal period of time. I'm
Mhm.
still getting on used to it. It's something which really hasn't stuck with me yet. But 2 to 4 hours is my natural time for YouTube on its own.
Mhm.
And I usually cover all those philosophy and computer subjects in that time. But when I'm studying for my actual curriculum, I do take a while. I usually take about 10 to 12 hours every day to
Mhm.
specifically dedicate to my curriculums. And my approach currently is I don't necessarily always follow the Pomodoro technique. Either that's 50 minutes of work followed by a
Mhm.
10-minute break, or you can do 25 minutes of work followed by a 5-minute break. What I usually do is first session I would do a warm-up session where I'd go into the flow and see how much I can study. And I call this the reverse Pomodoro technique. I'd start from counting up, which means I don't count down from 50 to 49 to 48. Rather, I'd count from 1, 2, 3, if you get what I mean. And when I count from that, the minute I get distracted, I stop my little Pomodoro timer and I check how many minutes was I properly focused. When I first did this, it was mind blowing. I was only focused for about 8 minutes or so in my entire 25-minute block. So I stopped my timer. I did take care of my distraction. I offed my phone, put it on airplane mode, and threw it away somewhere in my room. And when I did that, I noticed that in those 8 minutes, how focused was I? I was super focused. But that doesn't mean I can only study for 8 minutes a day. It means that you can still improve yourself. I learned to double my timer. So from 8 minutes, I went to 16. And from 16 minutes, I went to 32. And the more and more gradually I did this, it did reach up to a period where I could do to 10 hours. When it comes to how I prepare for curriculums, I potentially just write down some notes, and I don't copy and paste the textbook. What I do is I'll read through my textbook once, I'll attempt a few practice questions, then after that I'll close my textbook and write down what I can remember. Then I'll open my textbook and see what I've missed out, and with a different colored pen, I'll add on that information again. And it's not that complicated. It might sound complicated, but it's not super complicated at all. And then once I'm done doing that, I potentially read the entire note that I've done, attempt more and more flashcards or practice questions using active recall, because I believe there should be a point where you should work hard as well as work smart. There is the motto of don't work hard, only work smart, but I don't fully believe in that. I believe there should be equal balance in both. So doing active recall and then doing my notes and readings is also a good way for me to understand the concept. But doing questions is really important for us to understand how the exam or test will be based. So it might sound a bit complicated, but you should always start slow. And remember, if you don't do it today, there's always another tomorrow to achieve for. So I'd never pressurize myself into it. Always go with your flow. Going with the flow is first important. That's why my warm up session is really necessary. Otherwise, if I just directly start onto session one, I would again get burnt out by session number five or hour number five. So always start off with the flow, and then eventually it will just happen. You can go through it. It did take for me at least 1 to 2 months to adapt to this technique.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I used to just read up and mug up my textbook, see if I can absorb the information, but nothing really stuck with me. And I'm being completely honest because it's my experience.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie, my teachers did shout at me while failing my tests and exams. I want to be as much as open as possible today because I feel like it's really important for others not to repeat the same mistakes.
Mhm.
But now I am scoring really high, and I did get on the top of my school. I did score rank number one, and
Wow,
something to
congratulations.
thank you so much. But something to understand is that you cannot always come number one. It does take a level of dedication and courtesy and your hard work and humbleness.
Mm.
So I hope you understood my technique.
Mhm. Well, that sounds very very in depth, I think, and I think it's really helpful. The key word that you said was identify. identification is something that all learners need to continue doing as they progress into education, into school, is they need to start to identify what is helpful for them and what is not. And I think you found out very quickly in a matter of a month that 18-hour days don't work. They just don't work because you don't have time for social interaction with your family. You don't have time for yourself, which is actually quite more important, but even that is connected with your family. And then, you don't have time for free play. But as you're doing all your focusing, you start to realize, hey, I'm not focusing as much, in which you identified, oh, I'm not focusing, so I need to figure out how I can focus. And you were able to methodically put together uh, a plan that allowed you to focus for 8 minutes and then 16 minutes. And then you started to realize, okay, these are the results that I'm looking for because I do want to get better. I do want to achieve something. I do want to focus as best as I can for a certain period of time. So this is really good that you identified something immediately and you went forward for it. So that's really good. And there was this thing that you talked about, and the thing that you were talking about was comfortability with people watching for like 2 to 4 hours. Even that can get a little daunting for you. So the question that Abhay has, I'm going to go ahead and put it up on the screen right here, is while you stream, do the views and comments of the stream bother you or distract you? And that's a comment from, or that's a question from Abhay.
Okay, so 100% honestly, yes, sometimes it does. Because often the people who come are my classmates. I never
Mm,
force them to come, but they do come because I did send my channel link when I did start. And whenever they come, they expect me to reply in the chat. And then onwards, I realized if I stream 10 hours, I'm barely focused for 2 hours. So
mm,
streaming in 2 hour period, then you would just think that I'm focused for 25 minutes, but rather, what I did was I put slow mode in the chat. I didn't want to be so harsh, but yes, it sometimes does. But I never care about view count because if you want me to be an open book right now, I'll tell you something. A lot of people did, like, unsubscribe, resubscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have been through that in the YouTube community,
oh,
and
sure.
that never
Yeah.
bothered. Like, they would try to annoy me, and I know nobody sent hate comments, but I can totally understand if that content is not that appealing or entertaining for you. I believe YouTube is not a specific platform just for pranks and funny videos. You can definitely help people in such a way. And so yeah, it used to distract me, and I
Mm-hmm.
took care of it on my own by putting myself into the mindset that not always a camera is looking at me, and I should always act like I'm studying.
Mm-hmm.
On my first stream, I barely studied. I just like randomly went through Discord and messages, and it was just like acting as if I'm studying, and nobody really liked that. And I felt like people would notice eventually, and I thought it was right for me to start doing this to help myself also, not just for other people.
Mm-hmm.
Coming to yourself is really important, and I think you said that taking time for yourself and for your own life is also really really important. So
Yeah.
they never used to distract me currently, but before they used to definitely distract me a lot. Sending all the messages and stuff, hi hi, I have to like keep typing, and it's just so like annoying for me. But one thing that I did do was I did get a dual monitor setup. I have my chat, like a monitor dedicated to the chat and a monitor dedicated to the lecture or something that I'm watching. Usually it's just lectures. So at times I don't need to leave the lecture screen. I can just type it out really quick, hi. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a way that I sort of help myself. Like, you can always find a way. Another quote that I live by is, where there's a will, there's always a way.
Mm,
And that's like a quote from my mom. And like, there's always important things that you need to keep in mind while doing this, because if you're sharing your journey online, there's definitely going to be things that are going to distract you, so there are ways to overcome that.
And Abhay, actually, thank you so much for that question. I really appreciate that, and thank you, Padmini, for answering. There's another question that we have from Abhay. Thank you, Abhay, for this question. Does it feel weird to know that sometimes a random person on the internet is watching you live?
Okay, so this is a very funny experience.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, some random, like, I don't know how should I put it, like really harsh, but some random dude like sort of came on my stream,
Mm-hmm.
and he was popping spam links in the chat, and I don't know, it was really weird. For I felt like he was someone older, and I that really didn't matter to me, but he just like kept commenting weird things,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't show my face on stream. People already know how my face looks on videos, but it's weird for the camera to be looking at me. So I keep it on an angle where my monitor, keyboard, and mouse and notebooks are seen. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, it does feel weird at times, but I
Yeah.
think I've gotten comfortable with my like audience base, because half of them I already know, so
Mm-hmm.
like it's easy. But whenever someone new comes in, I just get like so stunned and shocked on the spot. So there's definitely some time to adapt to it. That's why I only stream for 2 to 4 hours, or even 1 to 4 hours. It
Mm-hmm.
just really depends on my comfort level. I mean, if people want me to stream 12 hours a day or 15 hours a day like others, it really depends on me. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I understand their feedback and suggestions, but there's a difference between forcing someone and giving her suggestions. So here's another experience that I would like to share.
Mm-hmm.
What people used to do is they used to spam again comments forcing me, like, if you can do 12-hour streams. And before, people used to say, hey, would you mind streaming for longer hours? And
Mm-hmm.
of course I would respond, I'm busy, like not in a harsh way, but I would be polite and say, thank you for the suggestion, I'm currently a bit busy. I would try to develop it and make it more bigger, like 4, maybe 8 hours, something so extreme. To that amount of 12 hours with someone watching you does awkwardly feel weird for me, until it's a regular following fan base. For example, if someone comes on and you don't know them, you just get stunned. But then I started to sort of develop it, and I'll be like, hey, welcome to the channel, make yourself feel nice and cozy over here, and get your books and coffee ready. So I found that it with time your experience comes with people watching you.
Yeah, and so thank you, Abhay, for that question. It's kind of true. I think a lot of people, when they, it's funny. I don't get to have the pleasure of experiencing bots. I like having the little banter back and forth, and just it's fun sometimes to call out trolls and things like that. But I think it's a different experience for perhaps for males versus females. Maybe it could be different, and I think I've already experienced that, talking with certain study with me streamers, and how the approach online is very interesting, because when a person's online, they're very different than they are in real life, I would assume. And it's so funny, they start to ask questions, right? They ask questions, and sometimes they don't realize that then demanding they're like demanding stuff without realizing it. Like, sometimes they could be saying things mindlessly, just typing something in the chat, and then it comes across a way where perhaps that day specifically you don't feel so good. Maybe you don't feel like live streaming, maybe you don't feel up to it or up for it. Now, I'm kind of curious, was one of those days, has have you experienced a day like that where you didn't want to live stream, and you got a question or you got something that perhaps might have been misunderstood? Maybe they said, something like, hey, could you study stream for, like, let's say 10 hours or 8 hours, or maybe could you extend it another hour? um, did it come across to you as a study streamer as someone demanding versus someone asking? Because I've gotten into that, in that place where I don't really feel like studying. As a matter of fact, I don't feel like live streaming altogether. And then, something simple perhaps comes across as a little bit more like demanding, but we can't tell. We can't tell based off of their, like, there's no emotion behind it. It's just text. So the way that you kind of perceive it, how do you perceive it? Like, do you perceive it as someone demanding it or someone asking it? Have there been situations where you felt like someone was demanding it more often than just asking a question? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So, usually that never happens nowadays, but when my first few live streams happened, I'm not a consistent like live streamer. I don't have a set schedule again, but I do study almost on all days. I just don't like to stream it all the time.
Hmm.
Again, I'm not like a dedicated study streamer. I mean, I'm being honest, but I'm a dedicated studious person. But I did come across a few comments saying, "Could you stream?" For could you extend an hour versus another comment saying extend another hour or like your stream was too short. A lot of people used to ask me that, like, you only stream for 1 hour, do you only study an hour a day? And
Mm,
honestly, it feels weird for me to answer those type of questions. Like,
yeah.
of course there's a difference between being studying and doing something productive. Like sometimes I'm running errands or doing chores or something,
Hmm.
but now it comes to the real question. No one really like made me so aggressive or like demanded something,
Yeah.
but they did in a polite manner at times, like,
Mm,
hey, do you mind extending an hour? I have a project. But I did remember, I think I can recall, but someone did type in, like, they used to see the things on my desk in such a weird way. Like, I'll have a book and they'll point out the name and all the chapters and stuff. I did come across, and that's a weird experience. And
mm,
then I did almost end the stream because I was planning to go more, but when that person came in the chat, I really didn't feel comfortable and I wanted to end the stream. And
hmm,
it was according to my liking. I
hmm.
had plans to go for another 2 to 3 hours, but with this person just like spamming the chat or distracting everybody really did annoy me personally.
Oh, sure.
So what I
Yeah.
did was I planned to end the stream earlier, and they were like, "No, let's extend the stream." Like, let's. I mean, are you? So I didn't really understand that vocab on its own when a person uses it like that.
Hmm.
So I hope that makes sense.
Hmm.
So like, I didn't really feel pushing. I knew how to handle the situation. I didn't really act like. I acted like there was no comment like that, so I just ended the stream. And if that person is watching now, hey, so yeah.
Just a quick shout out to my biggest fan out there. But yeah, so and I was that's why I was curious, because sometimes it comes across like you could be having a really bad day, right? And you don't
Yeah.
even want to stream to begin with, much less study. So
Huh?
so in my opinion, like, it just depends on your community group, I suppose, right? And when you're
Yes.
first starting out as a study streamer, it's really hard to determine who is really part of your study like community, because you're still working things out and you're still building a
Mm-hmm.
community from nothing, basically. So it does
Yeah.
become a little problematic sometimes. It does become a little bit of an issue when you get comments that are coming from complete strangers and you have no idea like who they are or what they do, and, like, if they're a troll or if they're a completely wonderful person. You just have no idea, and then all the usernames, it's kind of hard to, especially, this is just a thing for me, guys. This is just a quick shout out to everybody who may be watching this, right? But if you change your icon, like your avatar picture, frequently, that makes me particularly not trust you. And the reason why I say that is because a person who changes back and forth a lot, you just got to be careful with those people. Now, it could be, obviously, it could be that you just like changing your profile picture. The problem though is, as a study streamer, and I think Padmini, you probably would agree with this, or disagree, but you would, hopefully you would agree that when a person changes their avatar picture, you kind of forget who they are. Like, sometimes you go by the picture and not necessarily the name, or vice versa. You go by the name and not the picture. So having consistency for any of you streamers out there, or, should I say, people who are online checking out Study With Me streaming, if you want to be part of the community, be consistent, but also be consistent with your avatar and your name, because then if you change it so often, then we have no idea who you are, and then it's like the cycle starts all over again. Now, obviously, everything could be taken down in the sense of you just simply telling us, oh, this is me, by the way, then done deal. But I'm just saying, at the very get-go, for people especially like Padmini, who don't feel comfortable, not especially if it's coming from a complete stranger, you might want to help us out. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that's all
like,
I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It's not throwing hate at you guys or anything like that. I'm just saying, to help study streamers, that really does, or at least for me, that would really help. And we have another question from Abhay, but this is unrelated. I'm going to go ahead and put it up. Padmini, this is
yeah.
a really important question. Okay. Unrelated question, but does pineapple belong on your pizza? Yes or no?
I'm sorry, I had to burst out in laughter. Okay, so I have I don't even know how to say this because he put the word controversial. So there's like, imagine people are watching you and you're like answering something and you're literally like gonna get like, I don't know, you're literally gonna get hate due to one question of pineapples on pizza.
Yeah.
But let me be honest. I actually not a big. I mean, I'm saying don't come at me, but I'm not a big person to. I'm sorry. I'm not a big person that eats pizza or burgers or any unhealthy fried foods
Mm-hmm.
right now. Like, I did go on a diet for a few years,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't really want like something so unhealthy for me. But
Mm-hmm.
when I did, I'll be honest, when I did, I used to eat pineapple on pizza with my dad. But
Mm.
overall, I did just like plain pizza with either vegetables or just cheese. It's
Mm-hmm.
such an unrelated question, but yeah, I
That's
totally
fine.
understand. I either have plain pizza, but with my dad, it's always pineapples because he never lets me order something related to normal pizza. He would like to be a bit extravagant, so I mean, I guess he wanted pineapple. And since then, I really like pineapple, so
So
I
the
guess.
answer to the question, does pineapple belong on pizza? Padmini says yes.
I don't know. Um,
And Ken
okay,
says
I would
pineapple for the
say
win.
okay. I would say pineapples. I don't know how to answer this. I do say pineapples do belong on pizza,
Mm-hmm.
but wait, it really depends on your liking. I mean, fruit on salty foods, a lot of people don't really like it,
Mm-hmm.
but foods. But if you think of it as something more new, you can have it better. I think this is the only way I can answer this question currently, because next question I'll get is dark chocolate better than milk chocolate?
Mm-hmm.
I If that comment just like comes, I did remember someone did ask me that on stream. Is dark chocolate better than milk chocolate? I'm like, huh? I'm just streaming study with me content, and you're talking about chocolate.
Well,
So
and it's
yeah.
very interesting because so Happy says I'm gonna ignore that. Hey Amaka, it's good to see you in the chat. Virtual hug, nice. So and I find it curious, and I think we'll kind of end our time with this question, but unless someone else has another question. But at this point, I'm kind of curious because we were talking a little bit about like chocolate and snacks and things like that. People asking you on the stream specifically,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think about how food plays an important part in your study habits?
Okay, so this is something that I really want to answer. I was looking forward to this. So, it depends on the person. So if you like to have heavy carbohydrates, like me, I cannot go a day without eating rice or something because I mean it's a staple food. But of
Hmm.
course, I'm not always a big rice eater. I mean,
Hmm.
I am Indian, and there's the stereotype form that everybody eats rice in India, and I totally understand that it's a stereotype formed, but I do eat rice as well, just to put that out there. But eating does play a habit in your studying as well. I'll tell you why. So, we did have this case study conducted in our school, and we had about 14 students in one group and 14 students in another group.
Hmm.
And what these both students did before their classes or their self-study period, we used to have a self-study period, and before their self-study period, one of the first group would eat their heavy meals, like a lot of the carbohydrates, a lot of, something related to more fat content, and then the other group would eat brain snacks, like something like almonds and milk and some water and like berries or micronutrients.
Mm.
And now, then, when test season came up, we wanted to see which group performs better. And I was in group B, the one that ate like minimalist brain snacks. And when we did that, the group B always scored about 14.3 percentage higher. So yeah, it did, like, I mean, like in grade wise, it did play a big role because when we go home, we potentially not eat a lot of food. It really depends on the food we eat before studying. So it shows how effective our studying really was. And
Hmm.
then I did ask the group A students, how was your studying session? A lot of them told that they felt tired, they wanted to
Mm.
take a nap, or they wanted to sort of just sleep off, or like,
Yeah.
not doze and like not study. They were not in the mood because after eating a heavy meal, you potentially just want to get back to studying. It's really difficult. You do need to take another hour or two just to get back to track.
Hmm.
So yeah, eating I mean, like the eating habits that you have do play a big fact in your studying.
Hmm.
But I don't think that you should shame anyone for their eating habits for studying itself or for any general purposes, like they have eating disorder or some eating sort of illness. So it's
Sure.
really important to understand how their life is before judging their eating or something like that.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I mean, just from the get go, you shouldn't be judging anybody, but from a perspective of someone who has a platform on YouTube, I think the goal for us is to always encourage, right? That's the goal. Is we want to be able to be an encouragement to other people, whoever may be watching or listening to this. Hopefully, that this is an encouragement rather than I'm telling you you have to do this. You see what I mean? And I think that's the perspective that anybody should be taking is how can I be an encouragement? How can I empower someone with the knowledge I have in a positive way to help them? And for example, me, I think that food does have a huge impact on my learning and my moods. It's also the environment that I'm in. So if you have a really terrible environment, it's going to be harder to focus on your studies. If you have an environment where it is clean, where everything is spacious, where you're able to kind of think and not have so much clutter around, you're going to have a much more focused session in your studying. So, but food specifically, in my opinion, really does matter. And I think, to your point, you were saying, I believe you said 14.3% of the students that were studying, I think group B is what you mentioned, they were able to study, I think, a bit more focused versus feeling fatigued or feeling tired, feel like, especially for study streamers. And I think you could possibly relate to this, but if you have a heavy lunch, the next thing you know is that you want to fall asleep because you're eating the wrong kinds of foods, like fried foods or fatty foods. But you can have good complex carbohydrates to give you energy. You can still have protein. You just need to have balance in the food. So I would agree with you 100%. It is important to have a really nice balanced meal, and it's really important to have good snacks, healthy snacks. So I would say that for sure. Sushil, thank you so much for being here. It's good to see you. Makalicious has a question. What do you wish you knew before streaming? That's a great question. Thank you, Amaka, for that question.
Okay, so like just to start off, something that I wish that I knew before streaming was I wish I knew that streaming did require a good software or encoder. Like I actually just stream with my camera. That's like there are many principles, but the first principle was that I had a really bad camera and I just used the normal webcam display directly coming from
Mm-hmm.
my like webcam. I use a Logitech webcam, and potentially what I did was I used to have that, and when I did that I did realize my stream wasn't as nice as now how it is. Then I did go on looking around other study streamers like Paximus himself. He uses this Ecamm Live, the fancy application.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then I decided to check it out a bit more, and then I looked at OBS Studio streaming software.
Yeah.
I just downloaded it, and I added a few of the layouts and layovers, and I noticed my stream is getting more better responses.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I knew that equipment or some better quality was really necessary for streaming. My camera quality was shooting at like 144p, which is
Mm-hmm.
really low,
Right.
and I always used to lag and buffer, and it was sort of weird for me to stream with my camera always lagging because I
Mm-hmm.
could see my own display. And then that was the first thing. And secondly, I wish I knew that studying is not potentially like streaming is not just you studying on the spot, but it's rather something that helps people,
Mm-hmm.
because when you study you are not studying for everyone, but you're also studying for yourself. And that's one mistake I also used to do. I used to prioritize others. I mean, the main goal of a study
Mm.
community is to have a study buddy, but
Yeah.
at the same time, you want to really focus as well, right? So, I did make the mistake of looking at the chat often. I think we just discussed it a few minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I did look at my chat often, and it did distract me a lot, and I was never getting a focused study session. So I realized it's my time to prioritize myself as well as the others in such a way that everything could be nice and planned out. So then I invested in my second monitor, but second monitor was usually just for my lecture purposes, to have the PowerPoints and then my lecture on one side.
Mm-hmm.
That was really convenient for me personally. So then I realized I could have my chat popping out on that monitor, so I don't have to leave my other screen at one time.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I should have learned that you need to invest in some sort if you want to help to build and grow a community. And I really wish I knew that before streaming. That's why after my first stream, I did actually feel like deleting my channel on its own, and it's from honest experiences because no one really liked the stream. Then I realized you need to promote. So that's my third thing that I wish I need to stream. There's a
Mm-hmm.
difference between over promotion and not like promoting yourself. Like a lot of people just spam comments with their channel links, which is completely wrong. And a lot of people sometimes think people would just type Padmini Sivakumar on YouTube and find my channel. It's not always like that. So what I did was I then sent it out to a few friends who I think will be helpful. I only sent it out to a few friends. I didn't want to send it to everyone because I did tell you of the problem of people unsubscribing, resubscribing, unsubscribing, and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I should have sent it to someone who understands the concept of a stream.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my third mistake. And last but not least, I did not go through the YouTube settings carefully. What I did was I wanted to hold all my comments for review because I felt like it was important for me as a like content creator to make sure all comments are nice and family friendly before uploading them or going on to a page where at least more than I don't know, even one person watches,
Mm-hmm.
because it's really important to make your environment really comfortable. So I feel like I held my comments for view. I added those keywords and tags so people can, like, whatever they search study with me live or something, you can see when I'm live streaming and my channel would pop up then. And I feel like I wish I knew that as well. So there's a lot of aspects, but again, you're doing this for yourself and for other people as well. So don't forget that it's not always you need to just stream for yourself, or not always you need to stream for everyone. Make sure to keep the correct balance is one major thing that I wish I knew before streaming. So the three takeaways that I take away from this is that number one, you gotta invest in what you're gonna be starting, and number two is that you need to learn how to grow your channel, like promote it, and last but not least, you need to understand the concept. You can't simply copy someone. You need to do it for yourself. So these are the three takeaways that I wish I knew before streaming.
Mm. Thank you so much for that question, Amaka, and thank you, Padmini, for answering that. We'll end with this question from Abhay: does the fun in studying help you more, or is it just the concentration time? Like, if you can focus for this much time, no matter fun, or no, not all study or fun. Uh, I'm not sure if I understand the question, Abhay. Could you go ahead and re-enter the question? And Amaka, thank you so much for that comment. It was a great answer, Padmini. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
okay, so let me see if I understand this question. Does the fun in studying help you more, or is it just the concentration time? Like, if you can focus for this much time, no matter um, or not. Yeah, I'm still a little confused. Sorry, Epe.
Yeah.
I was trying, but I'm still unsure as to
Oh,
what the question is. Um, okay, so does the fun in studying help you more, or is it just the concentration time? Like, if you can focus for this much time, no matter fun or not fun, study or with fun. I ignore the grammar.
I don't understand.
It's a weakness. No worries,
Oh,
Ape. Thank you for the question,
don't
Ape.
worry. Don't worry. Wait, Pax, can I just like share something really quickly?
Sure.
So this is something that I really want to tell everybody if you
Mm-hmm.
are here. Number one is always remember to do some self care and talk with your family and friends. It's just a daily reminder. I used to do this a lot, but always remember to talk with your family and friends and keep connected with your social life. And number two, remember to learn a new skill or something aside from studying. Like currently, I do karate and karate, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently doing that, and I'm aiming for my black belt. And I'm almost one belt away from my black belt. So of course there's a lot of time necessary. From
Mm-hmm.
6:45 to 8 p.m. I have my class. So when I'm doing that, always remember to manage your schedule or your schedule or whatever you want to do. And remember, you can always improve yourself. And if it's not today, there's always a tomorrow that's there. You can always start again. You don't need to give up the first time. And and never give up without even trying. It's another mistake that a lot of people just do, especially me while studying and while before streaming. So these are a few daily reminders, and make sure to hydrate and stuff. Like, you just want to be more happy, right? So
Mm-hmm.
remember to do these things before really heading into a focus session. So I hope those reminders helped you. So go do something. I'm really glad a lot of people actually came in here to connect with us. And I'm sorry if I missed out all the any question, but I'm pretty sure we answered all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm happy that you guys popped into here, and I'm really thankful for Pax to give me this opportunity because I was just a mod on his channel, and I was like, let me take it forward. So I thought it would be great. So remember to always be happy and be shining, and I'm really happy you guys came here once again. And I think Abe put the question right in the chat. So yeah.
Oh, so okay. Thank you, Abhay, for the clarification. Do you care about fun in studying, or just about how much you can study, even if it makes you bored? That's actually a good question. Yeah. Finally finished a lesson after procrastinating. The podcast helped a lot. Good, Abhay. I'm really glad that the podcast is encouraging you to continue with your studies. That's awesome. But for you, Padmini, that question, that's a good question. Do you care more about having fun in studying, or do you care more about how much you can study, even if it makes you bored? That's an interesting question.
I care about the fun and joys in learning. I
Mm,
mean, potentially, there's a difference between studying and learning. So, I actually used to, again, I told you about my little philosophy and computer and medicine projects on the side, right?
mhm.
So, I found there were joys and fun in learning. Whenever there's a concept that I'm bored with, I would not ditch the concept. What I'd rather do is go a bit more in depth, like sort of change my ideology on the concept. And I think one question a lot of people ask me is, why am I holding a pencil in my hand? So I'll tell you why. Basically, I always like to keep something that I use with studying. So whenever, I mean, this is a really weird thing that I found which helped me a lot. But whenever I'm holding this, after doing something related to procrastinating, holding this pencil reminds me that I need to go back to study later. And it's not just something that I doodle with, but there's always something that need to find to fun. So I found things like this really help me to bring out the ideology and focus more. Concentration is important, but at the same time, you want to have fun while studying and learning. Learning comes first before studying. I mean, can you study without learning concept? Yes, but can you technically understand and observe your textbook or your notes or your lecture like a sponge? I did watch a lecture on how to observe your textbooks like a sponge. And from then onwards, my ideology changed. I had so much fun reading even a really boring chapter. Like, I was reading history, and of course, a lot of students think history is not that great. Even me personally, I used to have that same ideology. But when I did understand, oh, I'm so grateful that this war didn't happen today, otherwise, we would have been doomed or something. So, you find out ways to make your studying interesting and fun. That way, you will concentrate more. And that relates to your next concept that I can study even if I am bored because I find a way to make it fun.
Hmm.
So I hope that
Yeah.
really answers your question.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Abhay. Thank you, Ken and Amakalicious, for being here, guys. It was so awesome to have you here, Padmini. As you mentioned, Padmini was or she is one of my mods, which is awesome. She started out as one of my mods, and then it went on to doing study with me streams. So thank you, Padmini, for being here. For being part of this conversation. I hope you really enjoyed it. I know I did. And thank you guys so much for, hanging out with us. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up a little bit here. But if you haven't done so already, I would love for you guys to do me a huge favor and subscribe to Padmini on her YouTube channel. And if you have no idea how to do that, you can, if you wanted to, go into the description below, because in the description below is where you can find her information to subscribe to her channel. You can always subscribe to this channel as well, because we're going to have some more podcasts coming up in the future. So thank you guys so much for being here. I always have a pleasure. Like, this is a lot of fun for me to connect with other study streamers and to connect with you guys as well in the chat. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Abhay. Thank you, Amakalicious. Thank you, let's see, Queen's Corner TV, for being here. Guys, I am so excited to hopefully try this again next Wednesday. But in the meantime, remember, be kind and rewind. See you later. Hadouken!